Okay, so welcome to this session where we're going to revise some exam questions based on the two topics that we've done so far. Okay, so the first one was the introduction to statistics. Okay, so we discussed a number of terms that are involved in statistics, like the data, the population, what is a sample, okay, the nominal data. We discussed the ordinal data. We discussed qualitative data, quantitative data. Okay, so questions based on those topics, we are going to solve them today. And then we also discussed sampling. Okay, so there are about 4 types of sampling. So we are going to solve example uh, questions in this session today. Okay, so if you don't understand anything, please just unmute your mic and then you can ask your question, and then I'll be able to help. Okay, so I've put together 5 questions in this revision package, okay, to just make us understand whatever we've been learning. Okay, right, so let's go to the first question here. Okay, so the first question is here. They are saying state whether each of the following is a sample or a population. Okay, so we said when we look at a sample, okay, then we are discussing the entire, okay, we are considering all the subjects that are under study. And then when we talk about the sample, we are just getting a portion of the population. Okay, so now let's choose among these A to F which one is a sample and which one is a population. So the first one, they're saying a group of youth taken from a town. Okay, so a group of youths taken from a town, is that a population or is it a sample? Anyone who can try? Is that a population or is it a sample? A group of youths taken from a town, is that the sample or a population? Okay, so the first one there will be a sample because we're just getting a group of youths. Okay, we are not getting all the youths in that town. Okay, so this one here is a sample. And then the number of people living in a city. Okay, so the number of people living in a city. Okay, so here we are considering all the people in this city here. So we are going to say this here is a population. Okay, and then what about the third one? They're saying all accidents recorded in a country throughout the year. Okay, so we are considering all the accidents within that particular country and for the entire year. Okay, so this one here, we're going to say this here is a population. Okay, that's a population. And then D, they're saying students learning math 1002 at LAM. Okay, so here we are just considering a part of the students. Okay, we are not considering all the students. We're just taking those students that learn M1002. Okay, we have other students that learn different courses at this LAM here. So this here will be a subset of all the students that are present at what LAM. So we are going to say that this here is just a sample. Okay, so this is a sample. Okay, we go to E. Okay, so E, they are saying the amount spent on midi meal taken from the whole salary there. Okay, so the amount that you're going to spend on your midi meal, okay, won't be your whole salary. Okay, so you're just getting a subset from your salary there. So it means this one here, we are going to consider it as a sample. Okay, so this one here will be a sample. What about the last one? Okay, so the last one, they're saying the number of students at LAM here. Okay, so number of students at LAM. Okay, it doesn't matter if they are medical, if they are students taking medicine, or if it's another program. Okay, it doesn't matter. They're just saying the number of students at LAM. So we are considering all the students, okay, at LAM here. So we are going to say this here is a what? A population. Okay, so we are done with question 1. Any questions there before we proceed? Okay, no question. I'll move to the next question. So the next question is this guy here. So the question reads, the inter-zonal games are played every year to identify talent. The table below shows the number of pupils selected during the interzonal games. Okay, so we can see here we have the name of the game there. We have netball, um, football, volleyball, golf, and tennis. And then here we have the number of students that are playing that game. So for netball, we have 12, football, 13, and just like that there. Okay, so the question now is, with reference to the table above, okay, what are the variables of this data? Okay, what are the variables of this data? So remember, in our discussion we said a variable is any characteristic, okay, that can take on different values. Okay, any characteristic that can take on different values. Okay, so from this table here, which characteristic can we see that is taking different values there? Okay, we are going to notice that that characteristic there is just the number of pupils. Okay, so the variables in this data, we are going to say number of pupils. Okay, so number of pupils there represents a variable. Why? Because it can take on different values. Okay, so this one here, the number of pupils, is a quantitative variable. Okay, it's a quantitative variable, meaning a number is involved, number of pupils. Okay, what about the name of the game there? Okay, we can also consider this name of the game as a variable here, and it will be a special variable which we are referring to as a qualitative. Okay, because it's just the name, so qualitative. Okay, so this name of game here is also a qualitative what variable. Why? Because it can take different values. Okay, it can take different attributes. We have netball, we have football, we have volleyball, we have golf, we have tennis. So name of the game here is also a what? A qualitative variable. Okay, so we can identify two variables here. One which is name of the game, which is qualitative, and then the other one is this one here, number of what? Pupils. And we said this here is a quantitative because we can see numbers there. Okay, so we have those two variables there. So let's erase this and then answer the question B. So question B, now they're saying how many observations are in the data set? Okay, how many observations are in the data set? So you have to know that observations are just individual entries in the data set. Okay, so each row that you can see there, okay, each row that you can see there correspond to a data set. They correspond to an observation, I mean. Okay, so the first row is this one where you have your volleyball, your netball, second row, third row, fourth, and then the fifth one. So the observations are these ones here: 12, 23, 17, 18, and 20. These ones here are called what? Observations. Okay, so how many observations? You're going to say 5. If they ask you to list them, you're going to say 12, 23, 17, until you reach your 20 there. Okay, so these here are our observations, and then we can look at C. So C, they are saying how many elements are in this data. Okay, so what's the definition of an element? Okay, from our classes we said this element here refers to a specific entity or an item being studied. Okay, so in this case we are looking at the name of the game here. So this name of the game here will be that specific entity that's being studied. Okay, so how many elements are we going to have? Okay, we are going to have volleyball, we're going to have this is netball. We're going to have netball, football, volleyball, golf, and tennis. Okay, so how many elements? We're going to say 5. Okay, so one thing that you should note, okay, is that the number of observations are always equal to the number of what elements. Okay, so if you have 5 elements, it means you are going to have 5 observations there. Okay, if you have six, um, if you have six elements, okay, you are going to have 6 observations. So they always go like that. So the same number of elements is going to be the same number of what observations. Okay, so any questions on this question 2 here? Okay, so we go to question 3 now. Okay, so question 3. Okay, so question 3, they're saying classify the following data as discrete or what continuous variables. Okay, consider the following data as discrete or continuous what variables. Okay, so we said discrete is something that you can count. Okay, and then continuously you can't count it. Okay, so when we look at the height of a baby, okay, the height of a baby can take any value. Okay, so the baby can be maybe 1 point something is too much for a baby, right? So it can be maybe 0, okay, 0.5 maybe meters. Okay, it can be 0.49, it can be 0.37, it can be 0.54. Okay, so height can take any value. Okay, height can take any value. So we say this one here is a what, a continuous variable. So I'm just going to write C there because the height here can take any value. And then B, they're saying number of errors on a printed page. Okay, so if I have this page here that is printed, maybe I can write something there, write something there. Okay, and then let me represent to my errors in yellow. Maybe I have an error there, error somewhere, error, like that. Okay, so these two my errors here, you can count them: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so you can count them, the number of errors on a printed page. Okay, so since we can count those errors in whole numbers, okay, we are going to say this here will just be a what, a discrete. Okay, so that is a discrete variable there. And then the distance from home to school, that's a continuous random variable. Okay, because distance can take any value. Okay, so the distance from your home to your school can be 5 kilometers, it can be 5.1 kilometers, it can be 4.9 kilometers. Okay, so this distance here from home to school will actually be a continuous random variable. Okay, and then what about the number of days in a week? We can simply count them, that they are 7. So since we can count them, this is discrete. And then the number of days in a month, this is also what, discrete. Your age, okay, so age, how can we consider age? Is it a continuous or it's a discrete? Anyone who can try? Is age a discrete or a continuous variable?
Continuous.
Exactly. Okay, so it's a continuous random variable because age, it changes every second. Okay, so you can be 17 years, zingati months, okay, 5 minutes, 6 seconds. Okay, so it can take any value, this age. Okay, but if you consider the general approach, the age is usually measured in years, right? Okay, so you can be 20 years old, 21. Okay, but if we follow it from the perspective of discrete or continuous, we are going to say that this age here is actually continuous. Okay, because it can take any value. All right, so we go to question 4 now. So question 4 is on the nominal and the ordinal. Okay, so they're saying state whether the following data are nominal or ordinal. Okay, so we said nominal. Okay, we said nominal has no order. Okay, it's something that it doesn't have any order. Okay, it's just used to categorize. Okay, and then ordinal shows order. Okay, so there is a hierarchy there that we consider. Okay, so if you mention something, it will be at a certain level in the hierarchy. Okay, so when we consider the name of the school, is it nominal or ordinal? Okay, so name of the school has no order there. Okay, we can say St. Lawrence Primary School, we can say St. Lucas. Okay, that name of the school there will not show any hierarchy, okay, of the position where the school is. No. Okay, it will just be used to categorize that, okay, this is Apex, this is Murungushi, this is what and what. Okay, so the name of the school there will actually be a what? A nominal. Okay, this will be nominal data. And then the marital status of an individual is also nominal. Okay, it's just used to categorize that, okay, this one is married, this one is single. That's all. Okay, it doesn't show any order. Okay, it doesn't mean that when you are married, then you'll be above those who are not married. No. Okay, and then the gender of the person is also nominal. Okay, it just shows us that, okay, this is male, this one is female. Okay, but it doesn't mean that the male is above the female. All right, what about the personal title at work? Okay, so this one here will be ordinal. The personal title at work will show order. Okay, so for example, we have the manager. Okay, so this manager here at work will be above some certain people. Okay, so maybe managers above, then we have supervisor. Okay, from the supervisor we can have maybe the assistant. Okay, okay, so we see that in this way here we are showing what? Order. We are showing hierarchy. Okay, so the personal title at your work, you will show the position, okay, of um, where you are in that specific what? Company. Okay, so we have the head teacher, the the deputy head teacher, we have senior teachers, just like that. Okay, so personal title at work is ordinal data because there is order there. It shows hierarchy. What about the colors of the house? Okay, colors of the house, this is nominal because to just show that, okay, that house there is pink, that one is blue, okay, that one is green, this one is yellow, that one is white, oh, that one is black. Okay, but it won't show any order there that the black one is above the white one. No. Okay, all right, so that's it on question number 4. Okay, so any questions here before we solve question number 5?